Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, I'm looking to the future and we're breaking down the best and worst weeks to visit Universal Orlando Resort in 2026. And this video is not only going to help you pick the slowest times to visit Universal Orlando, but we're actually looking at ticket prices to try to pinpoint those times that might be better than others. So this video actually will also save you money on your next Universal Orlando vacation. And what I think is going to surprise so many of you watching this video at home is picking the right week to visit Universal can actually save you up to $133 per person just for doing nothing, just for picking a slower time where there's less crowd. So I had a lot of fun creating this video. So as always, I'm very excited. So let's go get started. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, I'm about to break down the best and the worst weeks to visit Universal Orlando in 2026. So the way that I'm kind of breaking these down is, first and foremost, I'm kind of just using Universal's ticketing system to try to give you what they're kind of telling us is the lowest and the highest average wait times of each week, or I should say projected, right? Universal, typically what they're trying to do is they're trying to incentivize guests to come to the parks when they feel like it's going to be slower than normal. So in those time periods, we will see ticket prices pull back and they'll be less. So that's kind of how we try to pinpoint what are the slower weeks within each month. Now, of course, there are months like March, April, June, where there's a lot of breaks and a lot of kids are out of school. So you'll typically still find crowds coming to the parks. But as you'll see, there are still some hidden gems on when you can try to beat the crowds. Of course, another thing that we are going to be looking at is going to be holidays. So those school breaks, we're looking at the federal holidays, right? Because that's when families will tend to travel a little bit more. And then also, this might seem like an odd one, and I've never looked at the schedule before, but I personally last year realized that during the cheerleading competitions in Orlando, the parks get swamped. They get slammed. And so we are looking at the different cheerleading competitions in Orlando as well to try to help you try to avoid those weeks if possible. Or maybe you're visiting during one of those competitions and you're just trying to say, hey, how busy are the parks going to be? But let's jump in and let's start to break down the best and the worst weeks at Universal Orlando in 2026. So what I did to try to come up with these weeks is I did a 7-day average. Okay, it is going to be a full week, and what I did was I calculated the average 3-day base ticket price. Now, why I picked 3 days is because at this point in time, it really is 3 main theme parks. So this is most likely going to be the most popular ticket at Universal, and I think the pricing is a good idea of kind of what Universal is expecting. Okay, so we're starting with January, and so the best week in January is going to be from January 4th until January 10th, and we have an average ticket price of $459 per person. The second best week here is also going to be January 25th to the 31st, as we actually have a tie within the ticket pricing. Now, the worst week to visit in January is going to be right around Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we have from January 11th to January 17th. That is going to be the worst week to visit, and we have ticket pricing right around $475 per person. So Martin Luther King Day is actually on January 19th, so keep that in mind if you are trying to avoid one of the busier weekends. And then we do have a cheerleading competition coming into town from January 30th to February 8th. But over to February 2026, what are the best and the worst weeks to visit? So for the best week to visit, it's actually from February 1st until February 7th, as we have the average ticket price at $463. And in a close second, we have February 21st to the 28th with the average ticket price of $476. On the flip side, what we're projecting to be the busiest week is going to be around President's Day weekend. And so we have from the week of February 15th until the week of February 21st, we have ticket pricing at $504 per person. So that's almost $50 more per person on average. And it's also important for me to note the real reason why this is probably projected to be the busiest week in February is this is midwinter break for a lot of schools around the country. So a lot of families typically do come into Orlando. And so just overall in general, to start with January and February, there are some really great weeks to visit within these 2 months. And another thing that's important for me to note is the weather is also really enjoyable in Orlando during those months, so they're 2 of my favorites. But now we're jumping into the heart of things. This is really where trying to pick the best time of year can get dicey, because March and April we do have spring break, so it is going to be, even on the slower weeks, it's going to feel busy. But here's what we got. Here is the best week for March 2026, and we have March 1st to March 7th with an average ticket price of $494 per person. And if you're visiting in March and you're not planning around, let's say, spring break or school breaks, that is the best week week to visit, because even number 2, we have March 15th to the 21st, but on an average, when you look at ticket pricing, it is near the worst week, which the worst week to visit based off of the projections in March is going to be March 22nd to March 28th, with the average ticket price being $536 per person. And so you could see when we start talking about spring breaks, most schools are going to take their break, we would say, between March 10th through the end of April. And a lot of the schools are typically going to fall between the 10th to the 17th or the 17th to the 24th. We also have a national championship cheerleading competition right there in the middle on March 13th to the 15th. So those 2 weeks are projected just to be jam-packed. But April is another really tough one, and a lot of the reason is because early April we have spring break, but we also have Easter break, which is falling on Sunday, April 5th, 2026. So the lowest projected and the best week in April 2026 we have from April 19th to April 25th, with the average ticket price of $470. Then with the second best week coming in right after that on April 26th through the first couple of days of May to May 2nd. But the worst week based on crowds to visit Universal Orlando in April is going to be that first week, which was April 5th to April 11th, and we have the average ticket price of $512. Okay, so coming out of 2 of the heaviest months of the year, we're moving over to May 2026, where we do have another, national holiday, but you can find some, relatively quieter weeks within May. So what is the best week to visit in May 2026? And we have May 3rd until May 9th, with the average ticket price of $470. Coming in as a close second, we have May 9th to May 16th as the second best week. And then on the high side, the worst week to visit in May is projected to be May 23rd to May 30th, with the average ticket price around $503. And so, of course, it's important for me to note in May, we do have Memorial Day weekend. But what we have found the past couple years is a lot of families, they kind of gear Memorial Day and Labor Day with those beach vacations. The parks have actually been really, really quiet around Memorial Day. So even though the pricing is up there, I still think you might be able to kind of get lucky and avoid some of those crowds. But keep in mind, as we jump into June now, May into June, May, the schools in the South start to get off, right, for summer break. And then, of course, in June, all the rest of the schools are getting off for summer break. So we are going to start getting a little bit busier. And so for June, what is going to be the lowest projected week at this point in time? The first week is going to be June 7th to the 13th, where we have the average ticket price of $479. Second place, we have the 1st to the 7th with the average ticket price of $481. And you'll see the highest average worst week that we're projecting is going to be the 21st to the 27th with an average ticket price of $505. And so the holiday here in June is the Juneteenth national holiday. And so, of course, that's going to be June 19th. And what I would say is very similar to Memorial Day weekend. I don't know how many families are traveling to Universal specifically for this holiday. I feel like a lot might be waiting for those 4th of July vacations once everyone is really off of school, and we're kind of seeing that within the numbers. And so we are about halfway done with this video, everyone. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for checking this video out, and hopefully you are finding it helpful to this point. And if you are in the process of planning that Universal Orlando vacation and it seems like you need more videos like this, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I have a lot more similar videos coming out in the coming weeks to get you as prepared as possible. And so we're going to jump into July, and as you could see, I really hope that my madness here in this video is helping you, as there are some clear cut, on average, just higher, more expensive weeks, and they're pretty consistent. The heavier weeks are typically around $500 to $505 per person, and then those lower weeks are coming in around the $470, $479. So you could see that there is a difference when we just start to break down the numbers. And of course, July is no different, where we have the lowest projected week coming in on July 26th to August 1st with the average price of $489. And then we have the highest average week being the week of June 28th to July 4th, kind of giving you 2 in 1 here, with the average price being $505. But overall, that's probably the narrowest delta we've seen so far. And just because it's summer, it really is the heart of summer in July, and Universal is expecting their parks to be busier. Okay, over to August, where we do start to see crowd levels come down, and we see that in pricing for sure towards the end of the month. Okay, so let's look at the lowest average week in August. So we actually have a tie here. We have August 22nd to August 28th, and then we have August 30th to September 5th, where we have the average price of $440 per person. Now, keep in mind, this last week of August typically is when we start to see the Halloween Horror Night event start. So specifically for Universal Studios Florida, we will see a large kind of influx of people coming to that amazing Halloween event. And then on the high side, the highest projected week at Universal Orlando in August is going to be August 2nd to August 8th, with the average price of $475 per person. Okay, keeping the party moving along, we're getting closer to fall 2026, and we have probably the best month for visiting with low crowds, and that is going to be September 2026. And so the lowest projected week is going to be September 13th through September 19th with the average price of $414 per person. Another really great one is going to be September 20th to the 26th with the average price of $433 per person. And then the highest projected week in September is going to be September 27th to October 3rd. And the park pricing here is going to be $464 per person. Now keep in mind that on September 7th, we do have Labor Day, but like I said, Memorial Day and Labor Day, typically the past couple years have not really been those extra crowded times at the parks. All right, moving along, and we do have October 2026. So what is the best week to visit in October? And we have October 25th to October 31st, where the average price is $467 per person. And then on the high side, of course, we have to keep an eye out on Columbus Day weekend, where we have October 11th to October 17th being projected to be the busiest time in Universal Orlando with the average price of $506 per person. And now, of course, November and December are other tough months to visit, especially because of the holidays. So the lowest week so far is going to be November 1st to the 7th, where we have the average price of $461 per person. And then the 15th to the 21st is in a close second at $462 per person. And just as you can imagine, the heaviest week is really going to be the week of Thanksgiving. So from November 22nd to November 28th, we are projected to be the busiest, and we have an average price of $521 per person. And I actually think that's the highest average price we have so far. And so you can see there, going from the lowest to the highest in November, that's around $70 per person just for the ticket. And so there's two major holidays in November, of course, we have to keep in mind. We have Veterans Day, which falls on November 11th, 2026. And then we have Thanksgiving, which is going to be November 26th. So November is really pretty even. We have two good and two bad that we want to avoid. Over to December, and of course, December, we're getting into the heart of the holiday season. And so what is the lowest projected week in December 2026? And we have December 6th to December 12th with the average 3-day ticket price of $473 per person. And it wasn't officially a full week, but I did just want to note that if you did want a shorter trip from December 1st to the 5th, the average ticket price was $456 per person. So if you go a little bit earlier in December, just for a couple days, you will be able to take advantage right after Thanksgiving, really. As soon as that weekend is over, you will be able to kind of take advantage of some lower crowds. And of course, it comes to no surprise, but the highest average week in December 2026 is of course going to be Christmas week, which we have as December 20th to the 26th with the highest average theme park ticket price of $548 per person. And so that is the highest. So as you can see, we went from on the low side the week of September 13th to the 19th with the average of $414 per person, all the way up to Christmas week where the average was $548 per person on those 3-day tickets. And that is it, everyone. Essentially, based on the numbers, these are the best and worst weeks to visit Universal Orlando in 2026. As you could see though, the averages really do line up with where the holidays fall. So it all makes sense. And of course, the numbers don't lie. Overall, when you're looking to try to get the best value for the quieter months with also, the cheapest ticket and hotel prices, you really want to look in September, especially mid-month. Then you want to look into late August. And there, as you could see, there are those little, hidden pockets here and there where a couple weeks in January, February, even November, where you could still get those quieter times in the parks. And overall, in this video, we analyzed 51 complete weeks, Sunday through Saturday, all of the national holidays, some cheerleading competitions, and that is pretty much it, everyone. I really hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that if you were on the fence about when you should visit Universal in 2026, it helped you really pick a week that you think will work a little bit better for you this time around. And if you are in the process of planning that Universal Orlando trip and you need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way till the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use on our website, The Park Prodigy, to save an extra $50 off your next Universal Orlando family vacation package. And that promo code is going to be MAGIC50. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.